So he said, make the ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of.
It says, and this is the fashion, meaning this is how I want it to look. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all paying attention? It said, this is how I want it to look. You understand? Okay. Go ahead.
The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits.
Uh-huh.
And the breadth of it 50 cubits.
Mm-hmm.
And the height of it 30 cubits.
Now, what I want to do is I want to go into the article. See, we don't just, talk about this stuff. We actually do research. We in the I.S.U.P.K and the Commanding General YAHANNA, we actually research these things and what we're talking about. We don't just get up here and talk about it. So now I want to bring out this. These are historical facts. These are historical facts that we're gonna bring out and present. Now, it says now this was from a survey. I believe it said 1977. This was a survey done by Ron Wyatt. They visited the site where they said the ark landed on, like after. Now I could go into it today, but for time's sake, I can't go into it. Maybe another day we'll carry on. But for time's sake, after the flood, the ark landed on the mountain of what is it again, sir? Ararat, right? And what would be now somewhat what we would consider in the area where the Turkey in that area, right? Okay, so now a study was done. A survey was done by Ron Wyatt in 1977. This is what he found. It says, okay, so now let me start from the top. It says most of the global media turned away from the find, and it became a non-story. So basically, this survey that this person did, now he may not have been a brother Salaki, but this person did, other media sources and other researchers don't really find valid. But of course they would, because they're trying to do anything to disprove this truth. You understand what I'm saying? So they're going to do anything and everything in their power to come up against it. You understand? But this person know what they seen, and they did what they did. But I'm going to read what it says. Excuse me. It says, in 1977, Ron Wyatt visited the site. Obtaining official permission, Ron and others conducted more thorough research over a period of several years. They used metal detection surveys, subsurface radar scans, and chemical analysis, real science, and their findings were startling. The evidence was undeniable. This was the Ark of Noah. Here's the visual evidence. The first part of the survey was to examine the object and take its measurements. The shape looked like the hull of a ship. One end was pointed as you would expect from bow, and the opposite end was blunt like a stern. The distance from bow to stern, 515 feet, or exactly 300 Egyptian cubits. Read the measurements. What did it say again?
The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits.
Read it again.
Shall be 300 cubits.
So now, they're measuring this area where, okay, no different from like a footprint or something lands on something. It's a print there. You know what I'm saying? They went and measured this area where the ship was, where the ship had landed, where the Bible says the ship landed, right? And it's a print there. It's an area where they could actually see what it looked like. They describing the hull of a ship. The ship had been there. You understand what I'm saying? Just like a meteor hit the ground or something like that, and they remove it, and the shape, the crater is still there. You understand what I'm saying? So this is talking about the shape of this area is like the hull of a ship was there. And what it said was they measured it, and it measured out to 515 feet, or exactly 300 Egyptian cubits. Now the Bible say that it was how long?
300 cubits.
You understand what I'm saying? This is what these people measured. Now I'm gonna keep reading. It says the average width was 50 cubits. Keep reading what you got there.
And the breadth of it 50 cubits.
You understand? So they measured what was the the leftovers are from what the ship landed. They measured that exact area, and it came out to the exact measurements that the Bible described. You understand what I'm saying? So we do research. I mean, we find these, and this is something that actually took place. You can look it up. You can find out. Ron Wyatt in 1977 went to this area and measured this stuff. You understand what I'm saying? We're not just talking in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We actually do research. And upon our research, we find that this area was measured, and it comes out to be the same exact measurements of what the Bible said, what the Lord wanted Noah to make of this ark. You understand? So let's keep reading.
Verse 16, and windows shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, and the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. Verse 17, and behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh,
Right.
wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Verse 18, but with thee will I establish my covenant.
Now let me say this, you know what I'm saying, because it was actually brought to my attention recently that, you know, the earth, when it says he will bring waters upon you, it didn't say the whole earth will be flooded. Now you got to remember, was there life? Was there life to be known at this point in the Bible when we read in Genesis 6? Does the Bible speak about any type of life anywhere else on the planet, but in this area, in the areas that it's speaking of? No, right? So we can't teach that the whole earth got flooded. And the Bible doesn't say he brought waters upon the whole earth and the whole earth was flooded. It don't say that. He said he bring waters upon the earth. You understand? But all flesh on it will be destroyed, right? So now what we have to understand is it was life form in that area. It wasn't like a worldwide phenomenon. It was in this particular area, which still covered a big, large area. But I'm just saying it wasn't like this. We can't teach that it was this worldwide phenomenon. You understand what I'm saying? I just wanted to clear that up. So now, we're gonna keep reading this into the end, and then I'm gonna bring out another article proving that, because what they try to say is there's no archaeological evidence, there's no evidence of this happening, period. We already proved that we went to the area where the ship landed after the flood. We proved that they went into this area and they surveyed it using all different types of stuff. It wasn't just no little what we use, bootleg type of thing. This was an actual real official, you know what I'm saying, research that this crew did. They actually used real science and instruments to, you know what I'm saying, to get their findings. It wasn't just a black man went there with some measuring tape. Yeah, man, okay, yeah, man, 50 cubits, 300 cubits, yep, this was a ship. It wasn't like that. This was real, a scientific experiment conducted by real scientists and research that took place that happened in this area. This wasn't just no bootleg thing. So this is real, but now you're gonna get other scientists and other sources, they're gonna try to discredit it. Why? Again, because the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. They're going to do everything that they can to discredit anything in this Bible because they don't want you to know your true heritage. They don't. If they can get one story and discredit it, then I mean, they feel like, okay, well, you got to throw the whole Bible away. But that's something that they can't do. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can do it. Nobody has done it. Nobody can disprove this Bible. They can say what they want, but then they get cut by the real priests and prophets of the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? And I seen it before I came into the truth. Now that I'm in the truth, you know what I'm saying? I still see it. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, there's nothing new under the sun. They're going to keep trying to come up against this truth. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to keep happening until Christ returns. You understand? Then they can't dispute it at that point. You understand? Then what they're going to say? When Christ returns, what they're going to say? No, this is really not happening. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? In the midst of their word, first of all, I say every knee shall bow. You understand what I'm saying? So they heads going to be getting cut off before you could even say shalom.
Right.
You understand? So yeah, keep reading on. I'm gonna get through this, and then I want to prove another scientific research. Bring out some more research on the archaeological evidence.
Verse 17. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh.
Did it say I bring upon the do I bring upon the whole earth?
I bring upon the earth to destroy all flesh.
Right, so we can't necessarily teach that it was upon the whole earth. It bring upon the earth, meaning you can say, okay, I poured a glass of water upon the earth. Does that mean that glass of water covered the whole earth? No, it just means I threw some, or I poured out a little liquor for my dead homies upon the earth. What is that saying? It's just talking about that one little area. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what the Bible says. So we can't teach that the flood covered the whole earth. You understand? I just want to keep reiterating that. Go ahead.
To destroy all flesh.
But it did say to destroy all flesh. So we do know every living person outside of anything that was on that ark did die. We do understand that. Go ahead.
Wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die.
So anything under heaven means anything under them skies, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Period. Everything. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 18. But with thee will I establish my covenant.
That's talking to Noah. You understand? Go ahead.
And thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons.
You understand?
And thy wife, and thy sons' wives.
So that's how you got the 8 people. You got Noah, his wife, Noah, his sons. He had 3 sons, his wife, and then his sons' wives. That total 8 people. You understand? Go ahead.
His sons' wives with thee. Verse 19. And every living thing of all flesh.
Of all flesh. Go ahead.
2 of every sort shall thou bring into the ark.
2 of every sort shall thou bring into the ark. Go ahead.
To keep them alive with thee. Thou shalt be male and female.
You understand? Male and female. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Of fowls after their kind.
Meaning the birds. Go ahead.
And of cattle after their kind. Of every creepy thing of the earth after his kind.
Anything that creeps on the earth after his kind. Go ahead.
2 of every sort shall come unto thee.
Right. So 2 of every sort of those. Go ahead.
To keep them alive. Verse 21. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee. It shall be for food for thee and for them.
Right.
Verse 22. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so did he.
So when God commanded him to do this, what did Noah say? Yeah, right. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. So when the Most High gave him these orders, Noah said, "Con on one con," and he got it done. And that's what happened with the flood. I mean, that's what happened with the ark. So now we're going to prove. I'm going to read this article, bringing out further research that was done in order to prove that there were actual physical signs of the ship. You know what I'm saying? I could have brought out more, but for time's sake, I didn't want to go too far into it. But it says in 1959, Turkish Army Captain, I really don't know how to pronounce his name, Lahan Derupanar, discovered an unusual shape while examining aerial photographs of his country. So this dude wasn't even like, this was something that he came upon while photographing the sky. You understand what I'm saying? It says he was photographing aerial, he was examining, I think so. He took these pictures, right? So he was just looking at the photos of the pictures he took. And it says, the smooth shape, larger than a football field, stood out from the rough. Now, it says 515 feet, which is 300 cubits, right? So we know 515 feet, that's the length of what? 5 football fields. No, Salaki. Okay, feet. So we know there's 3 feet in each yard, right? So that would probably put this thing a little bit over a football field. You know what I'm saying about the size of it. So that's actually correct if you look at, because there's 3 feet in a yard. So for each 3 feet, if you divide, so yeah, it's a little I mean his assessment could be a little off because he's looking at it and giving an assumption based on the picture. But what it says is the smooth shape, larger than a football field, stood out from the rough. stood out from the rough and rocky terrain at an altitude of 6,300 feet near the Turkish border with Iran. This mountainous land was originally part of the Kingdom of Armenia, a country that is thousands of years old and often considered the first Christian nation, until the Turks took it over at the beginning of the 20th century. Captain Durabinar was familiar with the biblical accounts of the Ark and its association with the Mount Ararat in Turkey, but he was reluctant to jump to any conclusions. The region was very remote, yet it was inhabited with small villages. No previous reports of an object this odd had been made before. So he forwarded the photographic negative to a famous aerial photography expert named Dr. Bradenberger at the Ohio State University. Now, this is what that photographer said after he examined the photos. After carefully studying the photo, he concluded, I have no doubt at all that this object is a ship. In my entire career, I have never seen an object like this on a stereo photo. So this lets you know two things. First of all, these people, these are just photographers. They're not, they didn't say that they was into the Christian. One dude, Dupiner, whatever his name is, he was familiar with the story in the Bible, but nowhere do it say he actually, this is something that he was studying. This is just something he heard about. So he just said, you know what, I ain't gonna jump to no conclusions, so I'm gonna forward it to this guy. This guy said, he didn't say it was the ark, but he said, I have no doubt in my mind that this is a ship. But what should that tell you? You understand what I'm saying? These are people, and this was in 1959. You understand what I'm saying? So we actually, and like I said, there's a whole bunch more to it. There's actually a lecture on it. The I.S.U.P.K UK went into it. If y'all want to go look at that lecture, make sure y'all go check out that YouTube page, I.S.U.P.K UK. You can check out that lecture where he breaks it down perfectly and gives all archaeological evidence. He presents everything that you need to present in order to prove that this story in the Bible is true, that this did take place. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not just here to talk about it, we're here to prove it too. The Bible says prove all things. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what we do. Yeah, so with that, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna actually close the class out. Is there any questions on anything we went over before I close it out? Everybody understand that what happened here with Noah and the flood and why it happened, and the fact that we need to strive, we need to follow these laws. The whole point of this is that we need to follow these laws, statutes, commandments. You understand what I'm saying? Because we know wrath is coming again on this earth. You know what I'm saying? And he did make a promise that he's not going to destroy the earth with water anymore, but guess how he's going to destroy the earth this time? Go ahead. Go ahead, sister. Thermonuclear war. You understand about? Give me that precept where it say the eyes disappear in the sockets and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and their hole melting their holes. Give me that, because I don't think, you know what I'm saying, people, we got to understand that this is serious, man. This ain't a game. You understand what I'm saying? This is real life. We wake up every day taking things for granted. We need to understand that this is real life. And you understand what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be a wrath coming into this place. Fire and destruction. The Christ and the angels are gonna come on them chariots, and I'm telling you, it ain't gonna be nothing nice. You understand? The Bible says it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be a terrible. It's a terrible, terrible crystal. You know what I'm saying? Like it's what's to come to this place is not gonna be something that you're gonna sit back and be like, ooh. You're gonna be in total, like, well, we're not. You know, I mean, and I know I'm not, because I know what's going on. I'm gonna be saying Barakatah, y'all know why y'all was shot. You understand what I'm saying? But for everybody that's on this earth sinning and not right with the Lord, when this happens, it's gonna be a terrible sight to them. It's not gonna be something that they're gonna want to see. You understand what I'm saying? You got that precept? You said the eyes will consume in their holes. So like, what was that, sir? Malachi 4:1. Yeah, come on. Malachi 4:1. Yeah, give me that real quick before I close it out, man. Go ahead.
Behold, for Malachi 4:1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven.
You understand? It's saying behold, that the day cometh that shall burn like an oven. You understand? Go ahead.
And all the proud ye, and all that do wicked.
Man. Hold on. It say all of the proud, you meaning all you out there being prideful, your pride, you let your pride get to you. All right, this is what's gonna happen. Go ahead.
And all that do wickedly shall be stubble.
So everybody that you in this truth, and all of a sudden now you just like, man, forget that, man, for whatever reason. Now I'm gonna leave this truth. That ain't the truth no more. This and that, they ain't the home of the truth. I ain't doing this no more. You going back to smoking that weed, and you going back in that Christian church. Because even if you don't go back in the church, you still going back to Christianity. Right. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to step foot in the church no more. What you gonna say? You leave the truth, and you going, I'm just gonna be watching from YouTube. Come on now, you a Christian again. Right. It's some reason that you left the truth that you can go back to doing because you couldn't do it while you was in the truth. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So that's your pride getting to you. Well, guess what? It's for those that pride, you know what I'm saying? Your pride, you prideful, and those that want to continue doing wickedness, keep reading.
Shall be stubble, and the day that
man, it said you shall be stubble. What's stubble? Stubble is at the bottom of this thing right here. You understand what I'm saying? From something that was burnt. Stubble is just the leftovers from what you're gonna be stubble. Good night. You understand what I'm saying? You want to be proud, okay? You're gonna be stubble. Go ahead.
And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch.
Oh man, I've been talking every tree, every root, you ain't gonna it ain't gonna be nothing left. Keep going.
Zechariah 14.
Go ahead.
Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherein the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem.
It's the same thing. Because guess what? If you leave this truth, or if you in the Christianity, or you not in the truth, you fighting against those that are in the truth. You fighting against the children of Israel. You understand what I'm saying? That's the same thing as fighting against Jerusalem. You're fighting against the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me they're gonna be standing up, and then they're gonna be standing up, and next thing you know, they just gonna be bones. Like you just gonna be standing there, you're gonna be doing whatever you smoking. You're gonna be smoking that weed. You're gonna be standing there, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying, smoking that weed, and next thing you know, in the blink of an eye, you just gonna be bones. The weed gonna get smoked up for you. That's what's up. Don't worry, the ash is gonna get dumped. You ain't gotta worry about no ashtray at that point. You're gonna be just straight bones. Matter of fact, the ash is gonna be in your bones' hands while you're gone. You're gonna be standing up like this, and it ain't gonna be nothing but your ashes, your bones from your fingers and the ash of whatever hell you were smoking on. That's all. It says your flesh will consume while you stand on your feet. What can that be explaining? What else can burn you that fast where you could just melt like that while you're standing upright? Name what can that be? Go ahead. Officer Sloppy. Right. Exactly. Thermonuclear warfare. That's the I haven't seen nothing else that could just make you consume like that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen nothing like that. So that's what's gonna happen to you. Keep going.
And their eyes shall consume away in their holes.
Same thing, man. Eyes gonna consume in your holes. Is that it? Keep going.
And their tongue shall consume away in their mouth.
Good night. That's what's gonna happen to you. You understand what I'm saying? So y'all better get right, man. Get this I.S.U.P.K and the Commander General. You wanted to say something, sir? Go ahead. Yes, sir. Come. Come.
Ecclesiastes 5 and 7. Make no tarrying to turn into the Lord. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
Right.
And put not off from day to day.
Right.
For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed.
Right. Suddenly.
They got some more. And perish in the day of vengeance.
Right. And if I could expound real quick, for time's sake, it's no different from what's happening right here in what we just went over in Genesis chapter 6. Because guess what? While the Lord came to Noah and say, oh, everybody got to die, they were still doing their wickedness. They didn't know what the hell was going on. You understand what I'm saying? He came, the Bible, the Most High came to Noah. Everybody else still doing what they're doing. They still having sex. Probably in the midst of having sex with these women. You understand? Probably in the midst of having sex with these women. Guess what? That flood came like that. You understand? And they died. You understand? So that's what they're saying. The wrath of the Lord is going to come suddenly. You don't want that to be you. You want to keep these laws, statutes, commandments, man. Come in the I.S.U.P.K, command of YAHANNA, man, and follow these priests and prophets of the Lord, teaching you the right way. You understand? And with that, man, I just want to I want to pass the class. Salaki, what we got the announcement? I was gonna pass it. I'm gonna pass the class to Officer Ron. Salaki, you know what? Actually, I wanted to one more thing I do got to do before we end class. I want to big up everybody in Houston that got a rank raise. Starting with but hold on, y'all know. Started with my brother, Officer Tazadak, you know what I'm saying? He went from 1,000 to 5,000. So I'm giving him my brother, man. You know what I'm saying? The brother right here to my left, you know what I'm saying? Officer Matia, he got raised up from 500 to 1,000. Brother that's not here, you know what I'm saying? Officer Amawashiala, he got raised up from a 50 to 500. You got two, we had, was it 2 troopers? 3 troopers, Salakia. I got 3 troopers that was raised up to officers of 50. I want to say Officer Ron, Officer Mabatazar, and Officer Awatazar, man. Big up them brothers, man. And one more time, I want to also big up everybody that came to the Texas Cookout, man. I want to big up all the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, the women, and the students, man. I just want to big up y'all, man. Oh, and also a student, a former student. Now he's a trooper in this great army, Trooper Bakan. I want to big up him. Can't leave my brother out. You know what I'm saying? Who was that? Oh, Trooper Rom. Let's give him a hand. And I'm right. You know what I'm saying? I want to. All right, I'm gonna pass the class over to Officer Martin. And most of crazy. That's clap it up.
We have the I.S.U.P.K, started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed the stares of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if her brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, which is in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10, means 10th of the Hebrew. Amashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, gives to the Treasury Department or a teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations will be the Feast of Hanukkah, which will be December the 1st, 2018, which will be found in the book First Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 5, verse 52 through 61. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. That's it for security announcements. That's our crowd.